we are going to today shore up the floor. I need to temporarily bridge the gap where there is no metal in several places. I would be pretty happy if I was able to do that. Yeah. Welcome to Smoke Shop. I want to get this thing able to be driven by my father while he is capable of doing so, because he used to have a very similar car, same year, 65. His was new back then, probably. I think he bought it used, but it was lightly used. Anyhow, I want him to have the experience again, since I have one, of driving this car. So what I'm trying to do at this point is get it drivable safely. It's got brand new brakes all the way around, front to rear, everything. I need to do some seals, reseal the engine and the transmission and stuff like that. That's not as important as long as I can get it to hold fluid. He's just going to meet me in a parking lot. But anyhow, this car has some rust problems and it needs to be taken apart and gone through. So today what we're going to be doing is some temporary stopgap measures to make the car a little more safely drivable. So if we go underneath here real quick, you can see that the underneath is still black. There's still actually a factory sticker on here somewhere. There it is. So yeah, these pans were brand new. And then this bug got sat in somebody's backyard for I have no idea how long, full of water. And basically, again, started rusting out from the inside out. I don't believe these battery terminals are tight. They're not. So we're just going to go ahead and disconnect the battery. Excuse me, guys. And gals. Ooh, that's heavy. Batteries are heavy. It's almost like they're full of lead. I have a fan on, and I want to open up the back vent window. Yeah, that was cool. And of course, the reasoning behind that is you gotta keep it ventilated. My plan here is to break out the wire brush and the vacuum type cleaner and clean this up a bit. Now I say again, I do have every intention of replacing these floor pans, just not right now. Montage! Time lapse! So, I still need to clean up some more of this, wire wheel some of this. I'm not trying to fully patch these floors using GrillParts, but what I would like to do is make sure that this area that has absolutely zero attachment points has some sort of attachment points. So, like, I would like to find maybe a good bite somewhere over here and come up to attach to this heater channel or something along those lines. Just to make it where if I put somebody or myself in the passenger seat, for instance, we don't hit a bump and I fall through. I just want to trying to get some sort of structural integrity in this area. It is street legal and insured. So before I take it completely apart, I would like to be able to drive it and enjoy it. But I'd like to get this shored up, and there's some seals I'd like to replace. I've never been in the transaxle or anything like that of this. I have no idea how much, if any, fluid is in there. I know there are definitely leaks when it gets warm. I haven't done an oil change on it. So we're going to take care of a couple things and get it ready to where I could let my father drive it. Step one. So I'm going to use this handy piece of construction paper, whatever, craft paper, whatever you want to call it. That's actually the divider sheet in a case of cat food. The small cans stack on these in between. I'm going to use this piece of wood that I found on the floor over there where I was standing when I picked this up as a brake. No, there's not a pile of trash. I have a stack of this and some scrap wood from a project. Which I guess is a pile of trash. Depends on how you look at it. Anyway. Really? Yeah. That looks about like the right size. What do you guys think? If I did something like that, I'm hoping you can see that, because that's my end game. I think that'll do exactly what I want it to do. I believe we'll figure out the bends in a moment, but for now I'm just going to cut out a piece of metal out of that grill panel that's this size. This is our old GrillParts. I think it's like shelves off the side of a grill, and that kind of reinforced. What I'm trying to figure out is I'd like to save the bends, the areas with the bends, because they're bends. And I'm just thinking of the future. I believe the children are the future. Okay. I think executive decision has been made. We're going to cut a rectangle, you heard me, a rectangle right out of the middle of this. That way I can keep the bends and the reinforced area, because I can see other possible uses for that. I'm going to come an inch or so in, inch and a half. Again, just to leave enough to work with if I decide to utilize this reinforced metal for whatever. Because I come up with stuff like that sometimes. Here we go, kids. Our original plan. Drawing a square. Whee! Gotta press record, people. You gotta press record. Anyhow, I'm going to do this different from the way that most people would approach it. I'm going to use my little handy-dandy air saw. This is a pneumatic body saw, is what it's designed to do, is cut sheet metal. And in a situation like this, you know, pretty confident these blades are cheaper than the cutoff discs. And this is just a much cleaner, simpler method, in my opinion. The quick and easy way that I'm going to utilize to get my hole started, theoretically, is by drilling a hole in one of the corners. Hold your ears, kids. Also, I don't particularly want to cut through the car. Okay, so there's half of it. Let's do the other half with the angle grinder, just for the heck of it. Again, I'm assuming you can even see me. We've already cut that. Yeah. I mean, that's all I need to show you. That's the difference between those two tools. First of all, that thing uses so much energy. I mean, the battery's pretty much dead already, but I'm burning paint. I got toxic fumes all over the place. Yeah. Nope. I'm going with the old airsoft. Ta-da! Minimal fumes. The only fumes and smell that I have right now is from using that angle grinder. I'm not saying it doesn't have its uses. This is a lot thicker than I thought it was. Good. This battery is pretty much toast also. The other one's on the charger. Doesn't really matter. I got to run an errand here in a little while. I actually found that reading glasses really messed me up. I have actually found a pair of bumpers. They do not have the overriders, which I sort of like, but I think I can possibly get them for $100 front and rear with brackets. I don't think I could get the brackets for that. So we're going to go grab those this afternoon and at least see how they look. Worst case scenario, I've got more bug parts on a shelf. It's money well spent as far as legality and avoiding tickets if I actually start driving this thing around at all. And now, back to the show. I'm just going to knock the edges off of this to clean it up, and we got a lot of sharp, jagged edges over here. But also, if I'm going to be welding on it, yeah, there's that. You don't really want to weld paint. Now, you can get away with that a lot more with Flux Core. Flux Core don't care. Am I shooting sparks at you? I'm sorry, don't catch on fire. Ta-da! I gotta check my phone. I'm hungry. I'm grumpy. I just want to smash things. Instead of wasting my paint pen, let me find a pencil real quick. Told you it was going to be real quick. How handy and convenient. There was a pencil nearby. So, the biggest issue we're going to have here is the fact that it starts curving like right there. There's our map. I guess the first thing that we want to do is make that bend. So we'll say and that's what the paint pen's for. In all reality, we're going to make this bend, and then we're going to come back. Now, I do not have a metal brake, so I'm just going to stick this in a vise and bend it. And remind myself which way this is being bent. This is going that way. So this is going that way. If I'm being smart about this, let's go ahead and take a nice edge I want this going that way. I think so. Yeah. No fancy benders, no fancy brakes, no expensive tools. A piece of angle iron and a bench vise. That's right, folks. Smoke shop. It's actually how everybody used to do it before all the fancy tools were around. They used what they had. If they didn't have something, they made it. I'll make this work. The OCD side of me is looking at this and seeing things that I would do differently, and the slam this thing together and do what it needs to do functionality side of me is saying slam this thing together and make it do what you need it to do. Not something I ever do, really. So that is going to bend down. Then we're estimating, guys. We'll fix it if we have to. With that being more of a straight edge. So that's going to fold down, and then that's going to fold back out. Yep. I know what I mean. You will shortly. Jank Brake 2000. The jankiest brake you could ever brake with. I don't believe we have enough to do that. But we do have enough to do that part. No, that would not do that. But that would. Yes. That would do what I needed to do. This one was not supposed to be as sharp. Oh, careful. Boy, I sure hope we're getting this. We being you and I, dear audience, for your viewing pleasure. Oh. Alright, well, I'm not going to sit here and fight this on camera, but you get the basic idea of what I'm trying to do. Let's see how close we are. Pretty sure I can make that work, guys. I mean, pretty much right in front of your eyes, possibly. Ouch. I bent that part the wrong way. We pretty much could take all this and tack it on and then shape that on out. I'm not going to weld anything right now, and I am going to mess with this a little bit more off camera, but you get the basic idea. When you see me next, I'll be ready to weld this in, theoretically. Alright guys, gave myself a little bit more headroom. I told you I'd be ready to weld next time you saw me. The welder's right here. I'm not quite set up yet though, because I need to clean up the area around here that I'm going to be tacking it to. I've got this pretty much ready to weld. I may get a wire wheel or a flap disc or both. Just want to clean this up a little bit so it'll tack. That's all. Man, those bearings sound awesome. No wonder this sits on a shelf. I will make that work, guys. I'm just trying to bring that lip back this way a little bit. Tighten up this gap here. Sanding disc since we've got it. Alright guys, I think we're going to start tacking this thing in. Oh, yeah, that would help. I can't tell if I melted that or not. No, it tacked. This is very contaminated. This is not a structural weld. This is, I mean, it's going to brace up the floor a little bit, but it's not holding up a skyscraper. Man, that is a pretty weld right there. Totally sarcastic, by the way. Man, so the annoying part is the glass is fogging up. I can barely see what I'm doing anyway, and then that happens. I mean, I can barely see what I'm doing. Oh, come on. Nice. Once again, guys, I just recorded a scene, and for whatever reason, the camera wasn't on. I think, for some reason, the volume button is the stop button. Normally, on every other phone I've had, it's the power button. And I think I'm accidentally hitting it when I'm making an adjustment. So, I'm going to try and remember that and adjust accordingly. Right now, like I said, I could spend all day making this pretty, but what would be the point? There's holes all around and it's covered in rust. I'm reminding myself that the only reason I'm doing this is to make that strong, which I have done. It's the only reason I was doing it. So what I'm going to do now is kind of clean up around this area and throw some paint on it. I am using the rust converter from Harbor Freight. I have no idea if it's any good or not, but it's certainly not going to be any worse than regular Rust-Oleum. So we're just going to try and get the majority of the dust knocked off. And this is mineral spirits, by the way, so it'll evaporate relatively quickly. There's no ball in here, or if there is, it hasn't come loose yet. Which, that's weird. I don't think I've ever shaken a can of spray paint and had it not have a ball in it. Or anything protecting the lid from coming off. It's like this is harmless spray paint, I guess. Yeah. There's no paint. Oh, this is literally just... Okay. So this is just OSPO, basically. Interesting. I thought this was a paint. It's not. So that should be interesting. That would explain the smell. In that case, just a demo. Dry to the touch in 2 to 3 hours and fully cure in 24 hours. 2 coats are recommended. Wow. If I had read this can before I did what I just did, I wouldn't have done what I just did. Had I known that, I'd have just painted it. Do your little cooking stuff, whatever you do, magic chemical stuff. I guess I could see what this is. Whoa. Butoxythanol, which may cause blood damage. Whoa! Blood damage. Don't breathe it. You're gonna get dizzy. If you huff it, you'll die. Don't smoke. Keep your area ventilated until all vapors are gone. Wow! Ethylene glycol, monobutyl ether, and ketones. Wow. This is some pretty potent shit. Whoa. Well, at least we got that in there, guys. It's soaking wet with some sort of chemical. The basic point of this, again, was a temporary patch just to hold everything together, to keep it from completely falling apart, because there was a huge gap there, nothing connected. That being said, the metal that I used, if I haven't expressed it, is literally the shelves or the side panels off of a grill that I scavenged off the side of the road. Because I do stuff like that. And that metal, I didn't measure the gauge, but it's thick, plenty thick enough. It's at least as thick as what's already in here. It's actually thicker, I would say. But the point being is that I can, if I wanted to, I could cut all this out and flush weld it and patch any one of these holes with that metal. Just because I'm not doing a permanent repair here doesn't mean that you can't use scrap metal. What some people will do is go to a junkyard and actually get panels from a car, a nice flat, a good wide fender that's got a lot of metal on it, or if they just have scrap cars around. The problem with a lot of that is the modern metal is a lot thinner. Sorry, I cut myself or something. Or maybe I got this chemical in my skin and it's destroying my blood. Anywho, the point being, don't limit yourself because you can't afford to buy the patch panels. I can't afford to buy the patch panels for this car, which is why I haven't gone at it too far yet. But frankly, the one patch panel that I did buy, that A-pillar, I had to completely modify anyway. So if you watch that video, you'll see at the end, I'm pretty much convinced that I could have done something like this there just as easily, if not easier. You see how easily I bent that shape in there. It's just a matter of matching the shape to what you're trying to put it in. There's a guy right now, Chris Ellis, I think I mentioned him before. He's doing, it's a Super Beetle, I don't think I remember what year. Anyway, he's doing daily videos. He's buying some panels now, but at the beginning he was literally cutting out little triangles, just pieces and parts, man, one at a time, and just hacking them in there. You don't have to go for a full concourse restoration with your project car. If you're into cars at all, I'm sure you've seen rat rods and patina-looked cars and stuff like that. That is actually in right now. Not that that matters. The point is, to save the car and to put it back on the road, all you really need to do is stabilize it. If time comes down the road and you still have the car and love it, then throw some money at it. But I don't want to hear people make the excuse that they don't have the money for a project car. Most project cars are in the $500 to $1,000 range to pick it up. And from there, it's all a matter of YouTube and Google. You're going to, of course, have to spend some money, but you don't have to go buying a Magnesium supercharger and a 6-liter LS motor and all that crap that they're trying to get you to buy. That's just capitalism going after you. You can buy a junk S10 and a ratted out yard art jalopy body and put yourself together one of the coolest hot rods in the world. And have fun. And that's what it's all about, kids, is having fun. Meanwhile, sometime later, I don't really particularly see... Well, I guess where it was heavily coated, it did some converting. I mean, that's where it just cleaned up, and that's where it's got the stuff. I would venture to guess it needs a much heavier coat, an application by a person realizing that it's not spray paint. But speaking of spray paint, I'm going to paint this because I just don't want those wells to get all rusty and stuff. And I have no idea what this product is good for or if it's any good, and this is not really a good test bed. But that has been well over 24 hours. So, anyway, I'm going to paint it black. Just kidding. Paint has ball. Anyhow, Project Farm, I think is the name of it. The guy that reviews everything, he rated this fairly well. Oh wow, that's like one of those turbo cans. I guess that's what the 2X is. Made with double cover technology. Yeah, that's a hell of a can of spray paint, man. Within 1 hour, dry to the touch after 20 minutes. So we can apply another coat within 1 hour, or then we have to wait. So I went ahead and sprayed a quick light second coat. It did not need it at all. There was a couple areas that I had missed on the first pass, so basically I was just covering those, and then I just went ahead and ran over the rest of it. I'm not someone who paints things regularly, but I will tell you right now, that stuff is way more heavy coating than a regular spray paint. Which, again, it's like the turbo cans, I guess, maybe. Or they may even be more ridiculous. I've watched several guys paint cars with those things in like one pass. So they must be really expensive. Anyhow, I'm going to stand behind this 2X Rust-Oleum paint and primer. Wood, metal, plastic, and more. Yeah, this stuff's pretty badass. Well, guys, that was interesting. It went smoothly. Honestly, I've already edited most of the video, and there was a lot of editing. But the nettle was thick enough. It's done what I needed it to do. It stabilized the floor there. I'm probably going to do a couple more patches, but I'm not going to film them all. In a future episode, when I work on the engine, assuming that I've done the other stuff, I'll probably run through and just show it to you. Currently, subscriber-wise, I'm still a few days out, 2 or 3 days out from uploading this, so hopefully the number will be higher by the time you actually see this. But currently, we're sitting at 273 subscribers. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're enjoying the content and you haven't already, subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. I'm gonna say about 50 more times. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Hopefully that got out of my system.